Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about Spiderfoot today. Spiderfoot is a pretty neat tool. It is a reconnaissance tool that allows you to run automatic queries over approximately 100 public data sources. All of this is open source intelligence, and it will do things like gather intelligence on IP addresses, domain names, email addresses, names, essentially whatever you can think of, you can put into Spiderfoot, let it run, and then see what comes back. Now, it's not a replacement for your traditional open source intelligence of sitting down and doing Google dorking and running against your threat intelligence lists, or using services like Shodan or whatever. It's kind of a it's a supplement. Okay, that's what Spiderfoot is. Spiderfoot is a supplement, and as far as tools are concerned, you'll find that while you still have to work, it can be a great item to kind of keep in your tool case or tool chest, and then just fire it up, run it, and let it do its thing while you might be working on other stuff. And we'll go over that. I'm going to show you some examples, and we're going to try it out, and we're going to do a little bit of a live example as well. So at this point, what you should see is my desktop. I have a browser over here, and then you'll see over here to the left, we have a terminal. Now here, what I did was I forked a copy of Spiderfoot, and then I just pulled it down. But if we do a git fetch, you'll see nothing, and then we can do a git merge, already up to date. So everything's totally cool. We're up to date. Now, if you're going to install this local on your system, you can use pip or you can use Docker. I'm going to be running it local to the machine. All I did was pip3 install, and then I use the requirements. And I can actually show you what the requirements look like. And there's a few items in here, 25 of them, but all you have to do is install those, and then upon doing so, you can then run Spiderfoot. Now, if you notice with the command that I'm doing, I'm using sf for spiderfoot.py, right? Switch L, and then 127.0.0.1. So that's essentially the device that we're going to bind to, but the port that typically it's going to use is going to be 5001. However, I run IPFS local to my machine. And since I run IPFS and it's running on the defaults, 5001 is taken. So if I attempt to run this, you will see it then fails out, and it says port 5001 is not free on 127.0.0.1. You're probably not going to have this issue unless you're also running IPFS. Typically, I wouldn't even run IPFS locally, but there's personal reasons, right? 600 pounds personal use that I'm having to run IPFS locally right now. I will get it up on a server eventually and then remove it from my local machine. But in the meantime, IPFS it is. So what I have done is I have bumped it up to 5009 for our port. Now if I hit enter, you will see this thing kick off, and it will then say serving on 127.0.0.1 port 5009. You can see that here. Hit the button, and we see no scan history. This right here is your GitHub page. It's super easy. You can wget the stable build, untar it, cd into it, pip3 install switch r requirements.txt, and then they will tell you to use Python 3. This is only necessary to put this here if you have Python 3 and Python 2 installed. On my local machine right now, I have both, but it defaults to Python 3, so all I have to do is this piece. But if you're super paranoid about it, throw in that Python 3. Now, there is a Docker build for Spiderfoot. Problem with the Docker build is it currently is broken for me. I built the Docker image, I tried to use it, there's some issues with the permissions. I messed with it and it looks like I can fix it, but that means I'll probably have to push up some changes, and I haven't even looked to see if they're accepting pull requests right now. But you can see there's lots and lots of issues. There's over 50 open issues right now. It is in recent development. 3 days ago, they made some fixes. People are using this. If you want to fix the Docker build, feel free to do so. If I have time, I might do it. I'm not sure. Really, all it is there is a copy action that is done post a chown. I think it's somewhere around like line 67 or 68, something like that. And then if you flip-flop those so that the chown is essentially done last, then that should resolve the issues with the permissions being broken whenever you run the system and it can't write logs. So I may end up fixing it and pushing in the changes or whatever. If you want to do it as a viewer, feel free to do so. So with that said, let's take a look at it. So this is Spiderfoot. It's running locally. Very first thing that we want to look at is settings. If you look over here, there are all these modules that are listed, like DNS Resolver. And there's settings, right? However, if you look, some of them have little locks next to them. And what those locks mean is that they require an API key. So any of these items that have a lock are not going to work, and they're going to fail out and cause errors if you don't have an API key and you run them and attempt to connect. So like Google, Bing, Google Maps, there's a whole bunch of them in here that can be pretty valuable. If you have access to those API keys, that's great. Wiggle is on here. There's some cool stuff in here that it'll search if you have access to those API keys. Shodan is in here. I have a Shodan API key. I'll probably throw that in here at some point. One of the items that I noticed is missing is FOFA. FOFA is not in here, which I really wish that it was available as a module. I may look into what it would require to eventually integrate FOFA in here, but for those of you who don't know what FOFA is, essentially FOFA is it's a Shodan alternative, but it was made in China. And so it doesn't respect US VIP lists, or at least it doesn't seem to me. So you could take an IP address for, let's say, Marine Force Recon, and you can put that IP address into Shodan, and it'll come back and it'll say no results found. But if you take that exact same IP address and you go stick that into FOFA, it'll come back and it'll tell you what systems are related to that IP address. So depending on what you're looking for and what you're searching for and what kind of things you're poking around trying to figure out, having access to multiple tools can be extremely valuable. So let's go to new scan. The new scan is pretty much self-explanatory. You can do by use case, by required data, and by module. And you can deselect and select all. I'm just going to use use case because it handles the errors well. It's not like it's going to fail out or anything like that. Effectively, it just tells you, hey, this can find certain information for you. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. And I'm just going to run by all to get anything and everything about my target. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to put a scan name. And so I'm going to put in FBI most wanted list and then ACM for Ashley Cynthia Montalvo. We're going to take her We're going to dump her as our scan target. And, you know what? Montalvo. I'm going to just Cynthia, Ashley, Cynthia Montalvo. Okay. And we're going to run scan. And while this runs, I'm just going to show you over here that the modules fire off and they start making connections. And it will say no data here, but this will update. You can see all the fetches and checks and everything else that are being done. And you can see we have a potential username already. And of course, we have her human name. And there's already some errors because there are going to be some API items that are going to error out. They're just simply not going to work. And we'll see how this goes. Got an account on an external site. That's interesting. And while that's going, I'll just show you who we're looking for. So this is the FBI most wanted list. Ashley Cynthia Montalvo. She's wanted for unlawful flight to avoid prosecution, probation violation related to aggravated robbery of a controlled substance, aggravated robbery, first-degree burglary, theft, false imprisonment, and use of stun guns. So this sounds like she did a drug rip to me, or is accused of doing a drug rip. We have a picture, so that's great. We can use this. We have lots of information here. We got a date of birth, we got hair, eyes, height, weight, sex, race, scars and marks, and we got an NCIC number. And then we have information. So we have a secondary person that we can use as well. This is a pretty good name, and one of the reasons why I chose this was because they may have fled to Arizona or Mexico. So I'm going to come here. And then I'm going to go to New Scan. And I'm going to FBI Most Wanted. And Ulysses. I'm going to put this guy's name in here. And I'm going to run a search on him as well. So we'll fire this off and we'll let it go. And then here momentarily we'll go back to the scans and we'll look at the scans. And we can see that there's already some stuff popping off there. And we see that it's running. So I'm going to hit scans. And we see that this continues to run. So you can fire this off. And then you can move on to your next person. And so this is why, another reason why I chose this one particularly. Because I knew we were going to do 2 scans. We have the female and then we have the male. We see that this one is listed as finished. And then we have 8 elements related to this one. So we're going to click here. And we see accounts on external sites. This pink bike site right here, this is total BS. I don't know what the hell is up with this pink bike webpage, but if we click on this, it's going to come back and say there's an account, but it's empty. And it says Ashley is the name, but if we were to come up here and we were to just boop, she stays there. So I don't know how Pink Bike's API works for figuring out where people are and stuff, but their user list is terrible. But now we also see that we potentially have a Tumblr here. Yeah, I want this. Common name invalid. That's fine. We'll just do this. That might be an item to look at. Okay. So this is still firing off. I'm going to come here and Tumblr. go. So this may be her username. Nope, I do not think that's her. Let's keep cruising. Let's try this one. Yeah, I'm gonna say no, that's not the same person for sure. Okay. Let's check this. I'm fairly certain that's not the same person. Let me just let's make sure here. Eyebrows, dyed hair. You'd think they could have done a better photo, right? Upper lip, bottom lip. Get the hell out of here. I don't think so. This has got to be a different person. Completely different name. Yeah, no way. Yeah, it's too common of a name. So we'll just we'll pocket that for now, and we'll come back. So those are our accounts on external sites. Let's see what else we have. Human name, breakdown, okay. Search engine web content. These all come back to Onion search engine, but I'm fairly certain all of these are just coming back to news articles that already have her information on there. And usernames, let's see. And most people are not going to do this with their name. That's just not. They're going to have a different kind of username. Now, this is a issue with this tool. You can't add like extra information like this. We're going to put this as set false positive, so we're going to block that right there. I'm fairly certain this has absolutely nothing to do with her. There's no yeah, that's I really don't think that that is her. So the next one that we're going to look at is the next guy, which there are quite a number of hits, especially web content. So first thing, we'll take a look at these usernames. Those are probably not going to help us. Obviously, there's going to be a pink bike one for whatever reason. Going to set that as a false positive for sure. And then this comes back as a Tumblr. Again, that's not going to load. It does see it as a regular human name. Let's see, search engines. A bunch of these are going to be onions, deep web, dark web, onion, deep web, dark web, onion. Continuing on, deep web, dark web, onion. And yeah, so without those APIs, especially for the people searches, not super useful, right? Not for finding these two individuals. Now, if I were to take this individual's name, do something like this, and then maybe site facebook.com, We can see a community where they're looking for this individual. The community is called Wanted Weirdos. And then some information about a violent crime. I'm just going to hit cached just to see what comes up. Yeah, and this comes back with something. So we'll take off that site for Facebook. FBI hits are all the first one. Let's see. Do have pictures. That's interesting. So he might. Greece. No, probably not. Well, let's go to... No, I can't do that right now. Interesting. This would be one to keep an eye on because that's odd. That seems like a very uncommon name. Just check in. Yeah, murder and robbery investigations. Oftentimes called robbery homicide. Can take a look at PQ. Got Avondale, but this is 27 years old. Let's see. Dates of birth used 1978. So no, that's probably not him. 78 would be wrong. Picture doesn't match. Consumir drogas mata mejor venderlas. Dejaras millonario. Do drugs. Something something get rich. 32. Would still be wrong age-wise. But let's go here. New scan. We'll throw that in as a username. Usernames must be in quote. Ulysses O. Felix. F. Check. But this is not an. Is there an O in here? I don't see an O, so it doesn't matter. We're gonna have to check anyways. We'll run that now. So we'll fire this off and allow it to start searching while we go back here. And then we'll just push forward. Oh. 29 would be wrong age though. Yeah, that's not him. So we'll keep cruising. We're looking for an O. If at all possible. Let's do just Arizona. Give me just Arizona. Nogales. This 46 years old. This 40? I'm pretty sure this would be 46. $42. So 42 years old. 46 though. Interesting. Where else did it say that you all might have gone to? Let's check Colorado. Come in here. Search. D-E... But these are D's. And this is coming back as Omar Felix. Oh yeah, that's not gonna work. Well, he uses those as aliases. Omar Felix Gonzalez is another alias. Ulysses Felix, let's try that. Ulysses Felix, Arizona. Omar Gonzalez. Let's try that. Omar Gonzalez. Leave location blank. We'll come back here real quick just to check this. So finished. Didn't find anything, which is interesting because the username exists somewhere, obviously. So out of all of the items that I have here that it can't search, one of them has to have been it. This bothers me. I know it says Greece, but that is quite the interesting name. Was also played as weird. Okay, well, we gave it a shot. There would be other items that we could use to search by as well. I'm going to close a few of these. And then we'll go back here and we'll take a look at these individuals. So these folks have already been arrested and one of these guys here got shot. So they're already in custody, but we will just run them as well just to see what we can get. And I would think we would be able to get more information than what's provided so far, but again, I don't have any of the APIs set up, so we're just gonna fire these off and see what happens. And these are some pretty common names, to be honest. Custody, do something like that. Oh. And we'll just, you can see here within the scan, Christopher McDonald, Sean McDonald, and then we'll get that last one firing off. Kaylee Lewis, pull her in here. In custody, just like that. We'll see how this goes. And this should be enough to kind of give you an idea of how this works, how to use it, some of the steps that can go into using something like this. We can just click on scans. We'll see that they're running. And then we can already see there's 26 elements for this individual, 17 for this individual, 2 here. So I can actually click here, browse, and we can start taking a look. So we've got maybe a discuss. Sean Shammy 08. Interesting. We'll pocket that one. Next one is something called Flipboard. Got a name here, but no content. Potentially Giphy. Sean McDonald. Okay. If TTT, I have no idea what this is. And again, this is a really common name. Kaggle. I highly doubt this guy is a coder. But they're not, what's interesting is none of this has anything in it, which is interesting. Sean McDonald potentially has Living Dead Girl, Rob Zombie, Static X, Slipknot. I don't know. They look like they might listen to Slipknot. Maybe. I don't know. Pink Bike is trash for sure, no doubt. I'm going to hit that, set false positive. I don't know why they even searched this webpage. Got a potential Pinterest. Let's check this out. See if got one follower. Colors and styles I like. Interesting. SoundCloud. IWI. I'm just going to listen to this real quick. Maybe. Okay. Potentially a Twitter. Has tweets. True. Screen name. Sean McDonald. Highly doubt that's him. Some bicycle guy. Likes to work out. Last time he used this was back in 2013. Okay. Potentially an Xbox gamer tag. I don't think. I don't think it's this guy. He never set up any profiles if it was him. And there's a bunch of Code Mentor stuff. But there's also a lot of music stuff. And so I'm curious if we don't have some, like, overlap. No recordings. But we got followers And we got somebody that they're following. Smokey, Impot, Carrie K, Justin, Dave Long, Brian Beatty, Big Miggy. Followers. Dreamwalking Pastor. Derek Wayne. What's this girl's name? Her name is Kaylee Lewis. Find K. No. K. K. No. Okay. McKenna McDonald. Okay. McKenna McDonald. So we do something like this, and then we can do something like this. Run a search. Got some census data. Got one Kenna. Where is... So there's 4 Kenna McDonalds in the U.S. Now the question is Kenna McDonald potentially related to these other individuals? I don't know if this is going to load or not. I hate these. These are so stupid. So we'll try in AZ. I hate this. I know this is all bullshit, but every once in a while it'll dump you into an actual account thing. But if this been verified, if it doesn't work, I got another one I can look up. So let me just keep cruising. So that's those. Go back to scan. We'll just look at this one. This one is 86. Really? Okay. Got an Etsy account. Got a Discuss account. Oh! Hey! That's a maybe. That's definitely potential. So that looks like she may use her name. We can also take this and we can go here. censusrecords.us. Instead of McDonald, Lewis. Find Kaylee. And you can see that there are approximately 7 people in the United States potentially named Kaylee Lewis. So, with that spelling, that specific spelling. So I'm pretty sure this is it. And I see a little kid down in here. Interesting. Let's keep cruising. Let's see what else we can find here. We got a Flipboard. Nothing. A geocaching. Okay. I'm not going to log in. It's not worth my time. Let's take a look at Giphy. Blunt beauty boxes. Okay. Is that like a drug thing? I bet that's a drug thing. Last.fm, which the other individuals had Last.fm accounts as well, I believe. So I bet you we're going to see a bunch of money-saving experts, huh? Kaylee's profile. I was really hoping one of these is going to dump some information on location. MyFitnessPal. Pinterest. I really wish there was a better picture, and also I wish that her face wasn't smashed in. That would be much easier to follow. It's the last time this account was used. Poshmark. The hell's Poshmark? Oh, this has got to be a different person. Maybe. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is a different person. Oh, maybe not. Let's keep cruising. SoundCloud. I really need to see Twitter. Protected. So her account is protected. You can't see it. Venmo. Okay. Vimeo. Interesting. Nothing. Vivino. I don't know what that is. Never heard of a Vivino. So wine rating. Wayne Low. Wanalo. Waynalo. It's all weed stuff. I wonder if she didn't lose a bunch of weight from drugs. And people love to dye their hair and all that stuff. So this stuff can get very tedious as you go through these accounts. A Cash App. Got an eBay. What you been buying? Fast payment. What do you sell, Mike Etwood? Sell Legos. Okay. How about you? Can't see anything. A plus buyer. Water resistant baby bags. Okay. Gryffindor girl, what'd you sell? Got some waistband, belly band holsters. Okay. 5-star buy. Bike wagon. Interesting. Cash App. Nope. Red Bubble. SlideShare, Smule, TripAdvisor, Tumblr, Wattpad, and We Heart It. I'm just going to skip down here to Tumblr real quick. I don't think it'll load. Yeah, it's not going to load. So at this point, you can kind of see whenever you're doing open source intelligence using a tool like Spiderfoot, it's a lot of clicking. I'm not even going to search for this gentleman, he decided to get into a shootout with the FBI, and he is no longer with us. Uh, However, this is sort of useful. Um, you look at something like TripAdvisor. Uh, I think that this Kaylee Lewis, I think that we're finding the same Kaylee Lewis, but it's not the individual related to the robbery slash homicide slash everything else that they were involved in. I think this is a completely different person. It just so happens that they share a name, and she uses her name for all of her accounts. I think that's what's happening here. A couple of these in here I think may have been her, um, but I don't think all of them are. And I'm sure that can be very confusing. Um, but other than that, Spiderfoot, super simple, easy to set up, easy to get going. Um, it's not a difficult tool, and not a ton of items to really, you know, to worry about. It's very fast. So, with that said, I hope this was a fun introduction. I know this is close to an hour, but it was just to kind of give you an opportunity to see, hey, how does this tool work? Um, what I would recommend doing is run a person's name and then see if you can't figure out what their email is, and then take their email and run it. And then the very next thing I would do is try to figure out what they use as a username and then run that as well. And then once you get all three of those in there, there's still going to be a lot of deconfliction that you're going to have to do, but I think that it's a lot faster than sitting down and just running stuff through Google over and over and over again. Google's still the old trusty standby when it comes to searching for people, especially as you get your Google dorking uh, to become something that you're more familiar with. But it's what the tool is. It's how it works. And with that said, thanks for taking this time to hang out with me, and like and subscribe, I guess. So have a great one.